Welcome to the Boss Hijabipreneur podcast for women of faith and business looking to take their careers or businesses to the next level without compromising their faith. If you're ready to begin taking action on your entrepreneurship goals, learn tips, tools, and strategies to execute consistently and manifest the life of your dreams, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Halima de Oliveira, business strategist, three-time author, using the fusion of faith and finances to lead female-led e-commerce brands to 6- and 7-figure revenue targets annually. Ready? Let's work. Tune into today's episode, Already in Progress. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Boss Hijabipreneur podcast. I have a familiar face, a familiar guest, and you guys will get to chat with her in a minute, but I'm going to tee up this episode, inshallah. So this episode is episode 72, Get Your Whole Life with Ameenah Muhammad-Diggins. She has been a guest before, as I said, on the podcast, and she's coming back to help us to get our whole life together. As Boss Hijabis moving through business and life, it can be hard to find the time to learn and do everything. The best way to do it all is to have people for that. Isn't
I
it
love
so
that.
true?
Listen, I'm going to steal that.
Take it away. Today's guest will be sharing tips on how we can ensure we protect all our assets. Okay. So please, Ameenah, welcome again. I love having you. And the last time you were on, they were like, can you guys do this more often? So here
We
it
should
is.
make it a thing, right? A quarterly Halima and Ameenah get together.
Exactly. Here she is. So Ameenah, please tell us, what have you been up to since the last time you were on, inshallah? And then how can you help us get our whole lives together, inshallah?
Awesome. Assalamu alaikum. I'm happy to be back. I'm excited to be back with you, Halima. I'm wondering why I'm getting some feedback. So I'm not sure if I'm in the chat or something happened. But so since we were together last, I am now a licensed life insurance producer, helping people to get their entire lives, their whole lives together. And I'm licensed in the states of Pennsylvania and in New Jersey. And I help people to, previously I had the party rental business. So I had that for about 14 years, which I sold in 2000, early 2021. And then I realized that it was time to let it go. So I went ahead and sold that company, and now I'm a licensed life insurance producer. So I was with people in the happiest times of their lives, and now I'm helping them prepare for their final moment on their earth, making sure that their lives are not spent here in vain, that they have a legacy to leave to their families. And we're not begging people, not doing GoFundMe pages or any of that when it comes to final expense coverage. So I'm hoping that you see me. I can't personally see you anymore, but
listen, you were on there all by yourself because I wanted them to get those gems just from you, honey. Okay, I had you there, but I'm
all
always
right.
here with you, mashallah.
Awesome.
So I love that you talk about that, and I originally wanted to have you on together after a sister Tahira Talib Dean. So she has a janaza service. I totally think that the two of you should connect because
Absolutely.
literally you're having the same conversation, but you specifically deal with the actual steps on how they can get their whole life together with, like you said, the life insurance, right? And I love that you said life insurance producer. I love that that's the wording that you use. Definitely could see the two of you connecting. So anyone that's either watching now or may listen to this episode later, also go check out Tahira's episode, and these two episodes together. Definitely you need to be listening to both of them because they will both help you inshallah. So so now, as soon as we say, especially in the Muslim community, so I know you deal with both Muslims and non-Muslims in the work that you're doing.
Yep.
Do you get Muslims in your work, like do you attract the Muslim population?
I would say about 10%, 20% of my the people who reach out to me. Well, I don't want to say my business. The people who reach out to me 100% are Muslim. 95%. Either they, Facebook, Instagram, or something like that. The rest of my clientele are non-Muslim.
Right.
So I'm extremely grateful to be in a position to help our Muslim community, because a lot of times people have this idea that the masjid is going to pay for their janazah. So I've spoken to many masajids about how they are grateful that this is a service that I'm able to provide, because they get people who say, "Oh, I thought my masjid was going to pay for my janazah." No, the masjid is raising money for the light bill and for the heater and for the new paved way for the driveway and all that. They're not that's not on them to pay for your janaza, right? So we know that we're supposed to tie our own camel. We know that we're supposed to take care of our wealth before poverty. We're supposed to take care of our health before old age. So we know that it is upon us to make sure that we have those provisions in place, so that way it's not a burden. We know that we are supposed to be the caretakers of the earth. We're not supposed to be the burden of the earth or the burden of mankind. So the more we are of service to others, the more Allah, inshallah, will bless us. So my goal is to make sure that there's a legacy when people leave a legacy for their families, that their families are not doing GoFundMe pages, that our families are not gathering $50, $100, and then we don't have all the money, so we have to have to be cremated because it's cheaper. We're not able to, when we don't have the funds, we can't be buried in the beautiful plot with other Muslims, being surrounded by other Muslims, because that's, when you have the funds, you can do that, as opposed to being buried out someplace in the middle of nowhere. So having a plan in place ensures that when we die, not if, there's no if, we know that all of us will return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want to make sure that we have those provisions in place when that happens, and our family is not left holding the bag, or the community is not left holding the bag.
You know what? I love this talk track, right? So, I had no idea that people thought that the masjid was going to pay, subhanallah, the masjid paying for your janat, like subhanallah, I mean, they're there for the community, they're there for us, but to pay for your janaza, that's on you. You know what I mean? It's like, when you go to Hajj, one of the prerequisites is for you to make sure all of your things are in order. Allah forbid you pass away, in the, while in the course of making Hajj or upon returning, all of your ducks are in a row. So I love that you said planning, and tie your camel is actually my inspirational quote of the week. So as always, great minds, we are together. Okay, if you didn't know. So, in talking about the planning, how can you help, a fellow Muslim, or, someone who is of another faith tradition? How can you help them to plan their end of life, so to speak? So to make sure, like you said, leaving a legacy. And I don't want to spend so much time on end of life, because there are other services that you offer as well. You have like mortgage insurance. There's like other things that are there as well. So if you can talk a little bit more about how the planning is important, and
Yeah.
also how we can protect the assets that we have while we're alive.
Yeah. So one of the things, it's all kind of bundled together with, because it pays out to your beneficiary when we die. So a lot of times it is important to take out policies when we're younger. We know that a lot of times people don't start thinking about planning for end of life until they're 50, 60, 70. And at that time, the premiums may be too expensive, or maybe you can't get the amount of coverage that you wanted to get if you were younger and healthier. So we know that we're supposed to take out coverages when we're young and healthy, so that way we're not denied insurance, that we can get the amount of coverage that we want to get for our families, that is going to definitely pay out to our family, to make sure that we can pay off mortgages if there's anything left, making sure that we can pay for children's education or leave an inheritance to our grandchildren. Whatever it is that you have in mind that you want to definitely take care of, those are the things we need to start thinking about ahead of time, and making sure that we make those provisions not as an afterthought, but put it in your life plan. Like, these are the things that I have in place. I have my cell phone insured. I have my car insured. People do these, but we're not thinking about making sure that we have our lives insured. So that it's definitely going to be, everything and our family's going to be taken care of.
That's perfect because it's like you said your cell phone is insured, all of these things are insured, but the person who pays the bill, the person who is responsible for all of these things is not insured.
He's not
Like,
insured. And statistically, it takes about 3 to 5 years for a family to recuperate after the loss of the primary breadwinner. And sometimes they never can recuperate. So if you're thinking about all these wonderful things that you do for your family, and you're going on vacations, and they're in private Islamic school and all these things. And if that income is taken away, what will become of your children? And we know that it takes 5 years usually for a family to recuperate, and sometimes we're never able to recuperate because of the loss of the primary breadwinner.
SubhanAllah, I didn't even know that that was a statistic. And if you're not already following Ameenah Muhammad-Diggins, check out her Instagram page because she shares a lot of different statistics. It was like a statistic there was like 53% of people are like not insured or something like that. It was
Yeah,
like some,
yeah. Most
that's
like
like a
50
crazy number.
Americans don't have any life insurance, and it's not just brown folks. So get that out. I want to make sure everybody understands. This is entire population, and when we're running the numbers, black and brown people have a higher percentage of having life insurance, because a lot of times we look at that as the only way to increase our financial stature. So when we're thinking about things, like a lot of times we like to think, oh, it's because black people. No, we have insurance. It's the total population of America
I love it. I love it. I
that
love
does it.
that
Yeah,
clarification. I'm right there. Like we do have it together.
we have
Okay.
insurance. Yes.
You mentioned a little bit earlier. You mentioned a little bit, premiums may go up and all that kind of stuff the later that you start thinking about life insurance. Is there a best age to start a life insurance policy, and is there a cutoff?
Yeah. So I recommend people. So most people take out policies when they're thinking about. I recommend people to start thinking about taking out a policy as early as possible. Definitely when you start to have responsibilities. So a lot of times we'll have a policy where your parents will pay for your policy up to the age of 21 or 25 or something like that. And then you can take over the policy and make the premiums, increase coverage. But it's always a good idea to start thinking about a larger policy, a larger whole life policy in your 30s. Because when you start to try to think about larger whole life policies in your 40s, it's more expensive. You may not qualify because now you have high blood pressure, diabetes. You got a lot of stuff going on. So if you're thinking about this is what I want to do, start thinking about that in your 30s as far as larger policies. Of course, 40s, you can still take out a nice sizable policy, especially if you're still healthy. And the cutoff is usually age 80. So most life insurance companies don't, take out the policies past age 80.
Makes sense, makes sense, the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, question. So you talked about larger policies. I remember the first policy I ever took out was $10,000. I remember that like it was yesterday, with
Mm-hmm.
State Farm Insurance.
Yeah.
Seriously. I remember it. Because that was the first time that I had, the idea. I was 21.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in the same thing, my son, we talked about, these conversations. So, when you talk about larger policies, what do you consider a larger policy? And do you think that, one type of person would take out a larger policy or, over another? What would you recommend? If you could just give us an example, does a family of five take out $1 million policy? You know what I mean? What does that look like?
So when we're thinking about it's really tailored to a particular person, because everybody has what they think is a lot of money. Like one person may think a lot of money is $500. Another person may say, it's 500 million. So it depends on what your life dictates. So everything is from an individualized approach. So I sit down with people and we go over what your responsibilities are. Of course, I mostly sell whole life policies. So my policies are usually that I sell between 50, 70, maybe $200,000. I don't do a lot of term policies. That's when people do like, I want $1 million policy, for 5 years or something crazy. Not to say that that doesn't provide an umbrella, but what I mostly write policies for are life insurance policies that are definitely going to pay out, because 2 to 3% of term policies pay out as opposed to the majority of whole life policies, because as long as your premiums are paid, your policy will pay out, as opposed to term life. There's an ending on it. You have a 5, 10, or 20-year term. And if it doesn't pay out, it doesn't pay out.
And
Meaning
I
if
just
you don't
wanted
die,
to,
you don't die.
yes, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that because that may be of a concern for a Muslim person,
Yeah.
right? So a Muslim person, most don't go into life insurance because they think, oh, it's haram, right?
Mhm.
Because I know that I wanted to ask you that question. Is it haram or is it halal? And the whole life are the halal
Mhm.
policies,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah. So they're the ones, like you said, definitely going to pay
Yeah.
out. It's a sure thing, whereas the term life could be a gamble. It's still, you can still look at a term life policy depending
Mhm.
on like your age. So like if you're younger, okay, you're definitely going to be all right. You know what I
Yes.
mean? The older you get, you might want to go over
You
to
might
the
want to
to
go
the
ahead
whole
and get
life.
a whole life policy. Like
That's it.
anybody over 40, like if you remember Run DMC, if you had an 8 ball jacket, if if you remember when the 49 or the
Almost fell out.
49er jackets. So you want to make sure if you remember all of that, Michael Jackson Bad Album, you need to go ahead and get yourself a whole life policy, even if you should have got one previously. But I like to joke with people, but it takes the edge off, uh, because it is something that no one likes to talk about. Like even when I talk to my customers, they're like, "Call me for a will," and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to think about it." I'm like, "What? Think about it now. That way, your family is not tearing up your house trying to find $1,000."
I'm going to tell you what prompted me to talk to Tahira. So first of all, Tahira was in a class of mine. So that, I knew what she was talking about. But right at the time when I spoke to Tahira and I had you, I wanted to have you on, my uncle passed away. And
Mm.
that tearing the house apart, that was us. We were literally, we had to look for everything. We had his services,
Yeah.
but I'm going to be totally honest with you. We don't know if that's what 100% if that's
What
what
you
he
wanted.
wanted. It
Yeah.
was literally like my siblings, I was the caretaker for all medical. I was the
Hmm.
bad person with all of the
Yeah.
boxes every time there was a doctor appointment. That was my job. Then there
Hmm.
was a sibling that, the two of them were close to him. They went out with him, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
It was like the three of us. Okay, what do we think he wanted? And my, of course, my mother, right, who was his sister.
Hmm.
You don't want that. And policy, we found a policy that was from like 19 like 70 something of
Mm.
his.
Wow.
Now we ended up having to pay for the funeral expenses. Like I
Hmm.
put the money out for the funeral expenses.
Hmm.
If I didn't have the money, or I don't know how we would have gotten through that, because a policy, to go through the policy, we have to go and find the company. The
Mm.
company has since changed names.
Got.
Yes, the policy's paid up and everything. We have all the paperwork, but who owns it now?
Hmm.
Like
Gotcha.
literally, he was a veteran, so
Hmm.
he gets some money there, but that's a process.
Yep.
We spoke to the VA hospital where where he passed away, and they
Hmm.
were like, the process could take you 6 months or
Six
more.
months. Yep.
So if someone was wanting to, bury their loved one,
Yep.
Muslims, it's within 72 hours,
Hmm.
in the ground. My uncle was not Muslim.
Hmm.
So, essentially we have, a little more time, but
Hmm.
even still, who wants their loved ones sitting
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
and not at rest?
Yep.
So I promise you that's why I wanted to have you on, because
Yeah.
I wanted us to really think about, the end of life, and really think about, okay, what are we doing, and being intentional,
Yeah.
inshallah. And also talking about that legacy, for him, what did he want to leave for his, I'm his
Hmm.
nieces and nephews. He always took care of us. He was always amazing to us. But what would he have wanted to have left us? What would he have wanted to left his children, his grandchildren? We don't know any of those things because there was nothing in place. And he
Mm.
was young, so it's not like he was older. He was 72,
Hmm.
71, 72.
Yeah.
So still young for
Still
my
young.
family.
Hmm.
Everybody lives to be 100 or more, okay? Like,
Yes.
one of the ants was 116. Okay,
Goodness
so
gracious.
listen, it was not something that we were thinking about
Mhm.
because of the longevity of the family, but
Yeah,
it is
mashallah.
something we should be thinking about, and especially as Muslims. So
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, we talk about legacy. You've got your AKA shirt on. I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about that in correlation to um you know um even what we're talking about, even life insurance, just talking about legacy and the things that you want to check off. That
Mhm.
was a thing that you wanted to check off. So can we
Yeah.
talk about that?
Um, you know how you have, so in my mind, like when I was in college, I had attended, several, open houses for the sorority. And I decided that it just wasn't my time at the time. So I kind of left it kept in the back of my head. I did join a Muslim sorority, but that is now, I guess, resolved, Gamma Gamma Chi, which I love to my heart, all of my Gamma sorors. But I always wanted to be a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha. And the serving all of mankind had always been on my heart. Like, as a Muslim woman, serving all of mankind, like who doesn't want to do that? So, and also high, higher morals and being able to uh, serve with a smile, like all the things that kind of resonate with me as a Muslim woman. But as you get older, I'm like 40 something years old, and I thought that, that was my time has passed. But I got a call um, and said, would you be interested? So it's one of those things that you always, when you have things on your heart, never let them die. You make dua on things and you continue to live within your purpose, and Allah will open up ways for your dreams to come into effect, into being. So that's how I look at that, and everything that kind of everything within my life. I look at as, okay, I've made dua on it. Allah answers dua always, right? Whether we see it now or see it later, or it's kept from us because He wants the best for us. So I always looked at it as, okay, I have this here, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And a funny story, I had went to St. Croix right before our process, and I pulled up out to dinner, and I'm on an island, and I pull up to dinner, and right in front of me is a Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated license plate, and I was like, okay, all right, so this is another sign. I looked at it as another sign, like everything's going to be all right, So, but again, it's been a real blessing for me. I'm excited about being a lady of Alpha Kappa Alpha, and I'm just one of those things, being embraced of a sisterhood since 1908, over 300,000 sorority members. It's just a beautiful thing.
Sorry, I'm so happy for you. When you texted it to me, I was like, you know why? Because it's like you said, it's never too late. It's
Hmm.
never too late, and never give up on a dream of yours, and Allah will manifest it for you. I want to talk a little bit, and tying it back to life insurance, right? Is that you can borrow against some of these
Yeah.
policies too. So
Yep.
that's a way to manifest some of the things that you
Yes.
want in your life too. If you
Yeah.
want to take a trip, if you want to something that you want to do, so can you talk a little bit about that? Is there a certain time where you're able to borrow against, or a certain amount? How does that work?
Yep. So as you accrue money into your policy, so you pay monthly, it's a monthly premium. We don't want to tell people to take all your money out, because if you take all the money out, nothing for your descendants. So you want to, if you get into a bind, you can borrow against your policy. If you have a larger policy and it's paid up, and you say, what, I have some money accrued, I can go ahead and borrow, take money out, if you want to. That is something that you can do. That's only for whole life policies, that you can borrow against them, and because they build up cash value. Term policies don't offer that option. Also, the great thing about whole life policies is that when they pay out to our descendants or our beneficiaries, they're not taxable. So we know that the government's not going to come in and need a piece of that action, as opposed to we have money in the bank and we leave to people, that is taxable income. So we want to make sure that, this is how, the wealthy protect their assets in a way, is by having it in policies or in ways that are not taxable.
Dope. And I love how you said the rich, right? So the rich and the wealthy, they know how to keep their money, and they know how to, when they leave it to the next generation, they teach them, in turn, how to keep that money.
Yeah.
So I love that you said Uncle Sam can't, tap into it,
Happen to you.
when it's in policies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mashallah. Is mortgage protection your area, your expertise as
So
well?
not necessarily. We do
Hmm.
offer mortgage protection in the form of life insurance. So safe, that is that um, if you have a mortgage, like, so say for instance, a person that has $100,000 left on their mortgage, and they know that if when they die, that house will be, no one's going to be able to afford that mortgage. So it's built into our policy that it's part of it'll pay out the balance of the mortgage if there's a balance left. That is one of the things that we do offer. Yep.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Mashallah. I read that and I was like, I'm gonna ask,
Yeah.
about that, how it can be of benefit. So
Mhm.
you talked a little bit about tie your camel. That's going to be my ayat of the week, right? But is there an ayat that's governing your life right now that, like, you're sticking close to it because it's helping you through this particular season in your life, inshallah?
I would say it was right now is a particular hadith. The 5 before 5. I recently joined CrossFit. And just making sure that I take care of my health. I went to the doctor like a month ago, and I got my blood work done. And she had been telling me to get my blood work done for 2 years. So when COVID happened, I was like, So I finally went, and she said I'm like borderline diabetic, and I was like, okay, this is not something that I want to happen. My grandmother, she passed diabetes complications. And I said, you know what? I got to make sure that I take care of my health, because as a Muslim woman, I want to make sure that I take care of my 5 before 5. I take care of my riches before poverty. You take care of your health before, illness, so those are the things that for me, that's governing that right now. So I want to make sure that my body is fit, my mind is fit, that I'm using my time wisely. I deleted Facebook and Instagram off my phone until Friday, that I can go in and check and who messaged me and all that, because I want to make sure that I'm using my time wisely. So if I were to say something that's governing me right now, it would definitely be the 5 before 5 hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? I love it. 5 before 5 is one of the things that we talk about in the book that we have
Yes.
together, which is Pray and Grow Rich, mashallah. So we talk about that in that book. And I wholeheartedly agree. We're getting to an age where, we're both, up there.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? We're right in that middle,
Right.
inshallah. Right in the middle. And I'm in agreement with you, and you're inspiring me to do that too, inshallah. I remember some years ago, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, I had a similar situation, and it
Mhm.
was like, you either change what you're eating or you gonna be over here, right? And
Exactly. And she
alhamdulillah, I
said,
changed it.
you can't eat the way I said, well, she said,
Not
also,
even a little bit.
my cholesterol was a little high. She said,
Oh,
I said, what about lamb? She said, no. My doctor's Indian, and she said, we cannot eat lamb. we, no more lamb for you. And I said, okay, really?
listen, girl, I want a piece of
I'm
lamb right now.
keto. I'm going to keto. I'm going to have my lamb in the morning, but steak and some eggs. So I had to really change pretty much everything. So I'm juicing vegetables now. At 6 a.m., I'm at the gym every single morning with a trainer. I'm on my Peloton 2 days a week. Right when I try to do it 4 days a week. Right after, like, I come home from the gym, then my adrenaline's pumped up. I try to do like a 20-minute class.
Yeah.
Because I how I want to ease into my older years, still looking cute,
That's right. Listen,
healthy
still
and
looking
cute.
fabulous, okay? I mean,
I
I mean, listen, let's hit it, sis. You know what? I'm gonna start texting you like, hello. You on that Peloton? What you eat today?
Did you get any lamb today, Ameenah? So
Listen.
I've been really good. I said I'm gonna once a month I'll have, because I really love Starbucks vanilla iced coffees. So once a month I'm going to give
Treat
myself that.
yourself.
But other than that, I've been really, really about it, because I realized that I want to stay healthy. I want to, still be able to, you know,
There's more you want to do. I got it. Exactly. Right
I want to be
here.
able to climb, climb mountains and stuff like that. I want to go hiking.
I love that. I love that so much. Listen, I'll meet you on the trail somewhere.
Yes,
Let's go.
we meet halfway.
I'll come from the top. You come from.
We'll wave halfway up the hill.
So does Fadallah. So, question: what tips do you have for Boss Hijabis out there that are considering a career in the insurance industry?
Gotcha. I would say so. I'm currently hiring agents. So you would first have to pass the state exam, but we help with all of that. It's one of the probably, when we're thinking about careers that because previously I had the bounce house business, and a lot of my customers were really affluent. And I always knew that in the financial services, it was something being able to be of service to people, but was also, pretty lucrative. So if you're thinking about a career in insurance or life insurance, you can always reach out to me if that's something that you're looking to do. You want to make sure that you have a deep desire to care for people and care about families, because it's not just about writing policies. You want to make sure that this is the most important thing. When everything hits the fan, you're the first thing that people want to think about. So you always want to have that in the forefront of your mind, that you are servicing mankind. You're servicing people. I work from home. I'm not in the field. That was one of the things that I was not going to do. I'm not going inside of people's houses. So all of my policies are written virtually. Both the New Jersey governor and the PA governor signed into law during COVID that life insurance policies can be written via FaceTime or Zoom. So that's a wonderful thing, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom. It's a great transition of getting back into the workforce. So I absolutely love it. Of course, with every profession, it's not for everybody. So you have to be diligent. You have to be making sure that you care about people. I think that's the main thing, is that you have to really care about people, and being able to relate to all types of folks. I wrote a policy for a guy. He was sitting, he was in a pickup truck in the woods hunting, and he said, "I'm going to have to take care of this now," because he had recently lost his brother. But just being able to relate to all types of people.
I love that. And I love that you said that you have to care about people, because I come from a sales background.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like you've got a number, you've got a quota to get to. And, one of the things that always bothered me about that is that, sometimes what we had available was not the best thing for the person. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so to care about someone is to sometimes say, okay, we do have this product, but something else may be the better thing for
The
you.
better thing
And
for you.
remembering that what Allah has for you is for you. It will not go, to anyone else. And
That's
you will get the money's going to come. So
the
when you
money's
care
coming.
about people, the money is going to come. So I love
Yep.
that you said that, Ameenah, mashallah. So I want to thank you for being on. I do want you to tell us if they're interested in learning more about, a whole life policy, how they can connect with you, and also for those, agents out there. So potential agents, people, women that want to, get back into the workforce, how can they connect with you, inshallah?
Yep. So you can always reach me, usually through either for my Instagram is Ameenah_Diggins, AMEENAH_Diggins, or my website. You can reach out and put in a query, which is Whole Life with Ameenah. Ameenah is spelled again AMEENAH, Whole Life with Ameenah.com. And reach out to me that way. You can either say, I'm looking for a policy. There's a form you can fill out right on the website. And you can always reach out to me that way as well.
Love it, mashallah. Make sure you do that now. So if you're watching this live, go and do that now. If you're listening to this or watching it later, make sure you go and head and check out Ameenah and all that she has going on. I bring people here that are going to help you. Okay.
Yes.
I know they're going to help you. So make sure you connect with Ameenah, inshallah. So Jazakallah khair again, Ameenah. May Allah grant you tawfiq, as always, in all of your endeavors. And inshallah, we gotta do something. You know what I mean? This
I mean, I said,
is in the way.
listen, I'm vaccinated and boosted. I'm prayed up. Let's go to the let's go to lunch.
Inshallah, we gotta connect. Seriously, inshallah. I need me an Ameenah hug. Okay. I
Yes,
need
we
me a
gotta get
good
a
old Ameenah
hug.
hug.
You know, we gotta get our little non-alcoholic little
Something.
drinks going on so we can have little, you know, just like pretty food and a pretty ambiance, you know, put our heels
Inshallah.
on.
We gotta do it for real, in real life, inshallah. So again, Jazakallah khair. I appreciate you so much. And I pray all of you connect. I'm just giving you that advice right now. So my inspirational quote of the week comes in the form of a well-known hadith that outlines the story of a Bedouin man who was leaving his camel without tying it. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, "Why don't you tie down your camel?" The Bedouin answered, "I put my trust in Allah." The Prophet then replied, "Tie your camel first and then put your trust in Allah." So again, Jazakallah khair, Sister Ameenah, for being here, and thank you for listening. Be sure to come back and tune in for episode 73. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, creating multiple streams of income. That one's going to be good,
That'll be
inshallah.
awesome.
I'll talk to you all soon. Peace. Assalamu. This has been another spectacular episode of Boss Hijabipreneur, brought to you by BUNHD LLC and the Not Without My Hijab stage play. To find out more about services for women of faith in business and the next city up on the tour, visit www.bunhd.com. It is our hope here at BUNHD that after each episode, you will be empowered to have a deeper connection in your spirituality, personal, and business relationships. As women of faith, we have a responsibility to learn our religion, apply it to our daily lives, and to make a positive contribution in our local and global community.